Prime Minister, thank you so much for joining us on Bloomberg Television. You're today in Brussels meeting with your European counterparts. You have the candidacy status, you have your European ambitions. How do you see this relationship between Ukraine and the EU evolving?
Thank you for having me here. And first of all, I should gratitude to European Commission, to European Parliament, to European Council and all the European Union for giving us candidate status. For us it's a huge encourage in our fighting against Russia and against their invasion and unprovoked aggression. So our society decided to be as a part of European Union. It's in our constitution, our political power absolutely united in our vector of movement to European Union. So now we perform even 65, even 70% of our association agreement. Now we will perform all the 7 conditions of European Commission when we have candidate status. And we hope, and we will do our best, the next year we will go to the negotiations procedures. And from our side, we have absolutely great unity in our political establishment, in our society, to move very fast toward European Union membership. So we wait that our colleagues from European Union will support us in this movement, because for us it's civilized choice and we will do our best to be European part.
And you've made it very clear you don't want to be in the Russian orbit.
Absolutely.
You've made your choice there. But speaking of Russia, of course, I have to ask you today, the Kremlin now in a very obvious manner just said that if the sanctions continue put, there's going to be no gas going through the European Union, and it will be a very cold winter for Europe. You've spoken to European officials today. Do you have the guarantees that they will keep the sanctions on, no matter what Russia does, whether there's flows or they don't go back, that Europe will support you?
You know, we have a war, criminal war in Ukraine, bloody war, but European Union also have a war, hybrid war, because it's gas and oil blackmail, it's hybrid cyber and disinformational attacks, it's food crises which Russia creates, blocking our seaports, it's migrant crises which Russia creates by killing civilians in Ukraine and having a famine in African and Asian countries. All of this is elements of hybrid war. So this, what is happening in European Union, on European continent, is not so simple. It's not because of the war in Ukraine. It's because of action of Russia in European Union, in Ukraine, all around the world. So now we have a war, principal war between different worlds, between civilized world, between democracy and freedom, and between autocracy, between Soviet-style principles, between Russian Empire. So we wouldn't like to be a part of Russian Empire, as you mentioned, but we would like to be part of free and democratic Europe, democratic world. And very important to understand, all of us, that only to be united we could win in this war, and we could save our democratic and freedom principles, and we should go through this winter. We should find possibility to go through this war and to win in this war. Every of us on its own place. We in Ukraine protect borders of Europe from military invasion, but Europe should protect the democratic principles in Ukraine, should support us, and should protect the democratic and freedom principles on the territory of European Union. So because of this, we should acting together like one unit.
And did you have a clear commitment, though, from European officials that these sanctions are going to stay on? It doesn't matter whether there's Nord Stream 1 flows, or they come back or they don't. The European Union is not going to play along the rules that Vladimir Putin wants, which are very clear: lift the sanctions.
We can see absolute understanding from European leaders that we are in a hybrid war. We have absolute understanding that Russia is blackmailing European politicians, and we have absolutely assurance from European politics that they will stay with Ukraine till the win.
Till you win. And
yes.
I wonder, your country, however, even while the war's been going on now, a very brutal war in 2022 in the heart of Europe, you have kept your promise to keep the flows through your own company, the Naftogaz, and you have worked with Gazprom, which is a Russian company. All of this trying to keep a cool head despite the fact that there's a war. I wonder, however, are you in a position now to say we will continue to protect that infrastructure? Is there a way that you can pump more through Ukraine to try to help the Europeans? What happens with the Ukrainian infrastructure in this?
Ukraine always perform all of our obligations to supply gas to European consumers, and we do it despite the war for the gas and for the oil, and we will continue. Our gas pumping system, gas transit system could pump much 5 times more, so we can support Europe by gas transit. We also can support Europe by export of our electricity in case if we will save Zaporizhzhia nuclear power station, and if some peacekeeping mission will go there and Ukraine will control it, so we can export 2 to 4 megawatts of electricity to the Europe to support Europe. So it's very important to understand that Ukraine could be a very good partner and supporter of Europe during this energy crisis.
And you make 2 very good points here. You say depending on the situation on the nuclear station, we could export more electricity. I wonder, what does the situation look like right now in the station? And then 2, you said we have capacity to pump 5 times more. What would it take then to get to 5 times? Is this a deal with Russia? What would it take to get to that goal?
So it should be a deal between European consumers and Russian suppliers. So we could execute or could perform technical possibility to supply this gas through our gas system, because technically it could pump more than 130 million cubic meters. So it's huge volume.
And the situation in the nuclear plant is very sensitive. We know that President Zelensky spoke to President Emmanuel Macron. He says what's going on is completely reckless. How's the situation looking on the ground based on the information that you have?
Right now, today about 4 p.m., the last electricity line was cut. Not cut, but was turned off by specific electricity and protecting mechanism. So now the station is working in separate regime. So they need use diesel generators. They should support this freezing of nuclear fuel by these generators and by working one of the blocks which create this energy for these purposes. It's regime which not let station to work for a long time. We don't know, half of the day, maybe 24 hours, but later we should fix this electricity line, as we do it even 2 or 3 times per every week, because Russians couldn't manage all of this on the station and around of the station. For last 31 years, Ukraine no one time have any problems with nuclear objects, but now we have it even every day. So we should clean this station and territory around from Russians, from their soldiers, demilitarize the station, to bring them peacekeep mission, and to save their security.
The situation.
Yes.
It does feel like you're playing a little bit with fire here, the fighting with of course, with Russia there. You mentioned pushing back Russians. Of course, that is your big goal, and there's a big counteroffensive, counterattack from Ukraine to Russia. I know it's very delicate. You're not going to be able to give me a lot of details, but it does feel like this is the moment that Ukraine has been waiting for months. How do you see this playing out? Can you really score big victories and push Russia back?
We gratitude so much our partners, because we have now supplying of the very modern ammunition and weaponry. So it led us to stabilize front line, and now we try to find weak places in front line from Russia side. So we continue some operations. We have some successes in south of Ukraine and in the north of Ukraine. So we hope that we will go into ahead, because moral stage of our soldiers is very high. So our society is prepared to go till the win. But Russian soldiers are absolutely demotivated, and it let us big hope to liberate our territories in nearest time. But
When you say nearest time,
we understand that we should have additional supplying of weaponry to Ukraine, because we should have balance of and proper ratio of weapon and ammunition for our army, because Russia has a huge army, huge resources, unlimited ammunition, unlimited
but you don't see
human
time
resources.
pressure. You don't feel come October we need to win. Do you feel pressure that you need to win fast? Or actually, there's no deadline for you. You're going to fight for as long as it takes.
We do our best. And it's absolutely impossible to predict how this war will continue. But we do our best because we are the most interested to finish this war as fast as possible. You can imagine this and you can believe this. But we understand that time will play to Russia's side. So we all, together with our allies, with our partners, should make our best, should make maximal efforts to finish this war as fast as possible. But Russia is interested to go for longer time, to take more time next year, next months, and this is actually a challenge for all of us.
And Prime Minister, just a final question. I have to ask you this, though. What does victory look like to you? Ukraine has said for day one, this is a defining battle for a country. It will decide the soul of the nation. How does it end in your eyes? What does a victory look like for Ukraine?
We should liberate all of our territories and
Crimea,
protect
everything.
our country. Absolutely, all of our territories in our borders, internationally recognized in the 1991.
Well, Prime Minister, thank you so much for joining us. It's always very good to see you, and of course, we wish you the best on this.
Thank you so much. All the best to you.